Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Very good morning. I'm Ritika Adlakha. I'm a technology specialist for business applications and sustainability. And today I'll be talking about Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability in length. So just like Ashlyn explained, we at Microsoft, we started our sustainability journey over a decade ago, and we continuously are building on our ability to achieve our sustainability goals. Through our experience, we've learned that this seems to be a data problem, which has been confirmed by our customers and telling us every day that managing data is one of the biggest pain points that they've had in their sustainability journey. So, which is why we've built Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. So I would like to talk more on the architecture of the Cloud for Sustainability, then we'll jump on the demo. So explaining the architecture. So Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability represents a growing set of capabilities that are built on Microsoft Azure and powered by Power Platform, which includes Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. So this stack enables our customers and even partners to extend core capabilities because it's built on Azure and Power Platform and helps them to easily customize solutions, whether it's present in the vertical, horizontal, or geo-based solutions in their industry. So over the past year, we've launched Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability data model, which breaks down data silos because we're picking up data coming in from disparate sources, streamlining the data ingestion so that importing the data at one place becomes easier. We're integrating it with main data systems, calculating, doing all the hard carbon math that is that can be complex to do, and then reporting it because that's the important piece to know where we stand in terms of our sustainability journey and where we intend to go. Talking about Microsoft Sustainability Manager, it's a flexible, extensible solution that's built on Power Platform, and it enables organizations to record, report, and reduce their environmental impact across their operations and value chain. And then Peter actually touched upon emissions impact dashboard that you can use in Microsoft 365 as well as Azure, which helps our customer to know and gives them the transparency to know how much emission Microsoft generates while they're using consumption in terms of Azure or Microsoft 365. So our cloud for sustainability solution story continues to go broader and stronger, which is why we've recently introduced our environmental credit service, which is designed to improve the reliability of environmental claims and credits, and also giving us transparency and the ability to track provenance through credit creation process. Then moving forward, I'll be mainly talking about Microsoft Sustainability Manager today, and specifically these 5 solution areas. So talking about Sustainability Manager, it's important to know when we are using Cloud for Sustainability, what organization is using this product, and to understand their structure, hierarchy of the organization so that we have a blueprint of the organization as to what they're doing to understand their sustainability goals. Moving from there, we go on to the next solution area, which is data ingestion, which is the method basically used to get the data into the platform. So we have inbuilt connectors which connect to different data systems in order to get the data at one place. And then once that is done, we move on to the third solution area, which is the emission calculations. So like I said, we have inbuilt algorithms which help you to do the carbon math so that you don't get into that complex journey and get stuck somewhere. And we can move on to the major part of reporting and insights, which help you to take actionable steps in order to understand where you are in terms of your sustainability journey and how and what you need to do to achieve the goals and the targets that you've set for next 6 months or for next few years to come. Then how we do that is through our 5th solution area, which is goals and scorecard. It's important. You cannot manage something unless you're measuring it, which is why we are getting the data into the system. We're doing the math and calculations. Then we have reporting, but we have to set a vision in terms of where we'd like to go and how we'd like to achieve our sustainability targets. So that's the solution area to focus on when we're setting up our goals. Now, I'll be doing an end-to-end demo for Sustainability Manager, where we'll be showing you how we set up that company profile, how we do the scorecards and goal setting, and how we get the data into the system and do the calculations, and then how we can get the actionable insights at the end of the day to take our next steps and design our sustainability journey that way. So just a second and I'll start sharing my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Okay, brilliant.
Yes.
So what we have here is the Microsoft Sustainability Manager on the screen. It is giving you an overview of the emissions that have happened in the past 2020 reporting period. And it's also giving you an overview of renewable energy that you might have used in the process. And on the right, we are getting the locations where the company is spread across and how we are collecting the information to show total emissions, revenue intensity, and the renewable energy. So that's an overview, but let's start with the first thing that we talked about, which is the company setup. So as an example, if you've come to any other demos of Microsoft, we have our infamous Contoso company, coffee company that we use to show the examples. So what we have here and how we're doing the structure, setting up the structure of the organization is through setting, basically connecting the information about the company and most importantly their annual reporting period, which will be reflected in the dashboards or the reports that we'll be generating later on in terms of scope 1, scope 2, or scope 3 emissions. So how do we set up the structure is, for example, Contoso Corp here has divisions and departments based in Africa, APAC, and Europe, and as well as US. So we can define that our structure by adding the organizational hierarchy in the structure tab for organizational profile. Similarly, for facilities, to understand where are the sites spread across on the world map, to understand what industries we're talking about when we're dealing with this organization. So all these things help us with understanding which where we are in terms of a sustainability journey specific to these locations, so that we can deep dive in and collect the granular data and need to see the steps that we need to take in terms of where the improvement is needed. So once we've set up the company profile, then we go to the data to understand how we import or get the data into this platform, which is through data connections like I talked about. So we have already inbuilt connections here. First thing to understand is what kind of data are we importing into the system? Is it the activity data, which is the raw data, for example, and the amount of fuel that the employees of the companies might have used while they are going to meet their clients. So this is one activity, but to understand how much fuel is used is the activity data. And then once the activity data is into the system, we do the math and the calculations to understand how much emissions were generated by that activity. And then we have pre-calculated emissions, the fact that if you've been in the sustainability journey, you might have already emissions and reports that are saved into your system, but to get it in the sustainability manager, we have to choose pre-calculated emissions data here. So going forward with an example of activity data, for example, if I'm using fugitive emissions, then I go next, and we have a lot of connectors here that just needs to be clicked and plug and played here because they're pre-built into the system. For example, if you've fugitive emissions data stored in an Excel sheet, what you have to do is just click Excel here and then go to the next part, because it just automatically connects to the Power Platform technology that is underneath the Sustainability Manager. So for the purpose of demo, I will go with the demo connector that we have here. And then we move on to the next part where it asks you to verify the connection with the server and the connector type. And then you can here schedule the data import, whether you want to do the data import automatically or want to replace the previously imported data. So if I go with the import data automatically, then I go with the next, and it'll help ask me what kind of connector I want to set up here. So I'm just going to give a test connector name here and move forward with the connection. So that's how easy it is to set up a connection to the system, and then you can import the data coming in from different data sources, but it's actually not making sense unless it's at one place, and then you can have an actionable steps related to it. So once the connections are set up, we go to the calculation models. And we have like I mentioned before, we have already existing algorithms that are present here to do the carbon math, so you don't have to worry about anything to explain, for example, about mobile combustion. So what we'll do is we'll create a connector for mobile combustion so that the data is coming in and collecting all the information that is for particular activity related to mobile combustion. And then we do the carbon math that I was talking about. So it's the volume of greenhouse emissions and their low concentration in the atmosphere makes it hard for us to measure how much accurately emissions are generated for a particular activity. So what we do there is we do multiply the activity into the emission factors and to get the estimate of emission that is created for that particular activity. So what we are doing here is exactly the same carbon math, and on the right hand side we have description of what equations we are using. That depends, those are the equations that are coming in from the EPA, which we are currently using, but you are free to customize the factor library yourself to import in any emission factors that you want to import, depending on, say, different geographical location that you're based in and coming in from government guidelines as per the sustainability rules. To make it accurate, we define certain conditions to understand whether the activity data that we're recording, is it for the on-road vehicle? If not, then we use a different formula so that we have accurate results of the emissions that are created. So once we've got the data into the system, we've done the carbon math. Now the next step is to understand what the preview or the overview that I showed in terms of the dashboard, right? But it's important to know these scorecards that I was talking about to understand and keep on track of your sustainability journey. So for example, we have a carbon reduction plan here for 2030. So for Contoso, it's important to reduce carbon reduction from their business unit. And then they have also set in a sub goal for the USA branch and the APAC branch. That's how you set up your goals. And if I go deep into it on the right, you will see the progress that you've made so far in for that specific goal, and on the right you'll get the goal details as to what date it was started and what is the expected end date for this goal. And then in the history you will see when the data was imported for that particular goal, and on the other hand, like what was the status after that data was evaluated, so that you are on track, and also getting the status whether you are at risk of achieving that goal or whether you're on track of achieving that goal, so that you can take certain steps that are needed in terms of achievement of that goal. So I'm going back to the overview that I showed before, which is the dashboard, which is coming in from our brilliant Power BI tool, which is doing all the analytics in the background and showing you the results that are specific to the country region, could be specific to the organizational units that you're running, depending on the divisions and the structure that you've created for your organization, and could be also by the facility that we talked about. It could be different industries that the organization is part of, and you can get all those reporting and everything done in the platform. And the best thing about Sustainability Manager is that it's built on Power Platform. What I've showed so far is the carbon emissions that we're talking about, but we've extended the functionality to water, and we are going to do that for waste as well. And even before Microsoft launches their version of waste or water, what we can do is you're free to use the libraries that are existing in the system and build your own model, your own dashboard. So it's extensible to that level, to giving you the freedom to customize the system which works the best for you and your sustainability journey. So that's all I wanted to cover for today, to giving you a sneak peek of Sustainability Manager. But I hope that helps. And I'd be happy to connect with everyone on LinkedIn if you have any questions, and please feel free to put it on chat. And I'd love to share a few documents that, and even the pre-trial version that you can use for Sustainability Manager. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Ritika. That was great. So I'm very conscious we've run over in terms of time. So whether we've got questions or not, and whether my colleagues can actually hang on. We've got a couple of questions here, and the first one I think is maybe aimed at Aisling. Are you seeing an increase in the number of organizations migrating to the cloud, citing sustainability as a key driver?
Sorry, can you say that again to me?
Are you seeing an increase in the number of organizations migrating to the cloud, citing sustainability as a key driver?
Yeah, I am actually. Most organizations, if they are migrating to the cloud, will be able to get savings kind of between 50 and 90% in terms of cost efficiencies when they do it. So there's a genuine business case of doing that. Also, if you take the overall premise of having individual data centers rather than using the scale of cloud economics, like, it just genuinely doesn't make sense. So it is one very immediate thing that customers and partners can actually do. So we are actually seeing quite a bit of that in terms of people's first steps, I suppose.
Excellent. This one was for you, Peter. Are there any security concerns with migrating to a cloud environment?
Well, every IT solution that you build carries a degree of cyber risk, right? But there's no increased risk of going to the cloud compared to an on-premise solution. You can perfectly well have an insecure on-premise solution or a secure on-premise solution, just as you can have an insecure cloud solution and a secure cloud solution. The key advantages that you get by going to Microsoft Azure are really two that I can think of on the spot. So the first one is that Azure is protected by Microsoft's global security team, and they see global activity and threats, and they're positioned in a way that no smaller organization is ever going to be able to match in terms of their ability to protect the cloud services from the different types of attacks that emerge. But as part of our own implementation, as part of TEKenable sort of approach to migration, we would always undertake a security risk assessment and use best practice in terms of hardening the Azure environment, and then also apply the advanced security services that are available within Azure, the likes of Sentinel, for example, which is a SIEM. We often use automated source and security orchestration and response playbooks, so that as soon as something happens that looks even remotely suspicious, an automated response is there before even a security analyst can get to look at it. And these sorts of tools are typically not available to people that are having on-premise, and they're certainly not as easily available, and they're certainly not as integrated and cross-cooperating between each other. So I would actually argue the cloud is not only secure, but it's capable of being significantly more secure actually than on-premise implementations would be. Yeah. But you do have to approach it with a risk assessment mindset in place.
Okay, I've got a couple more. I'm being quick. This one is for you, John. Who is the best person to drive the sustainability initiative within an organization?
Very good question, Ron. Very good question. It really has to start at the top. It has to be something that the CEO is regularly heard to talk about. It has to be a board agenda item, and it's got to be owned at the board table. If not by the CEO himself or herself, at least another vice president or director or whatever the senior leadership are. But ownership has to be at the board table, and then individual ownership within the business thereafter.
Okay, finally, Ritika, How is Sustainability Manager licensed?
Okay, so Sustainability Manager is licensed per tenant. So if you've ever used Power Apps and Power Platform before, so what we do is like it's similar to a Dynamics 365 tenant license. So you charge per month for a tenant. So it's not per user. What we do is like you buy a tenant and then you can add on as many users as you want. And that's
Great
how it's
stuff.
done.
Great stuff. Okay. I'm very conscious we're 10 minutes over almost. This is a summary of the webinar, so I'm hoping that the audience got good value, and round of applause for our speakers. You've done a great job, so thank you very much. It's difficult sometimes to slot all of this message into a short time frame, so well done. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. All the best. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.